Thank you very much for that kind introduction, and thank you, everybody. Thank you very much for the invitation to speak today, and I'm really pleased to see, as my colleague said, on a Saturday afternoon that there is still a good-sized audience, so thank you. I think this is the one occasion when in IP that we can use the word copying and we can say it really fairly and really healthily, because actually the opportunity to share best practice and share information and copy some of the good things that each of us do, because there's no moratorium on good ideas, is a really helpful time. So I'm very proud of using the word copy in this environment. In our view, IP offices can sometimes limit their activities to purely rights granting and rights and maintaining of those rights. But I think in the modern world that we live in, and the changing economic world that we live in, that sometimes it has the potential to sort of miss half the story. So the UK office has been really keen to sort of expand our activity into the world of IP and innovation. I just want to share some of the ideas that we've come up with and that we're using, we think are quite successful, and just let you know what sort of activities we're up to. I'm probably preaching to the converted on the first couple of slides, so I'll be quite brief, but you know, innovation is really important. It's particularly important in the modern diverse digital economy. It provides new ideas and solutions, and it provides new goods and services. It also provides new ways of working that help us cope with the changes in the way the business environment happens. But it is costs, and there are risks, particularly for SMEs, for small businesses. Haven't always got the time, the ability, the money, the investment to worry about innovation and worry about what it means to them. So sometimes the government, in our view, it needs to intervene to ensure that the incentives to innovate are actually rewarded and that positive benefits are realised. And that's kind of the theme or the background to the work we do. Again, looking at the esteemed audience, you probably know all this already, but I think it's important just to highlight how IPRs fit in. It allows people to get a return on investment. That's vitally important if you want continued investment. It stimulates inventions, it stimulates innovation, and importantly it also stimulates creativity for the creative industries particularly. But the point I want to make is the third one there. It needs to be balanced. That it needs to have enough private property rights, and I think some of our colleagues have mentioned this already, to ensure adequate incentives. But equally, we need to make sure that it doesn't give excessive monopoly power that then harms competition and society. So it's quite an important and quite a tricky balance. So why does it matter? Why is it important? Well, I think the graph hopefully is fairly self-explanatory. Up until the global recession around 2008, tangible assets were on a par, or rather to about 2000, but particularly accelerated in 2008. Tangible assets were about on a par with intangible assets. So bricks and mortar, machines and factories were about the same as thoughts. But look at the way the graph diverges, and we expect that to continue. Intangible assets in the UK are now becoming our major output, our major piece of the economy. We've done a bit of work to see how the individual IPRs and the IPR sectors feed into that graph, and you can see the table there that shows the massive percentage of contribution to GDP and contribution to employment that all the IP sectors put together have. And it's about 27% of UK employment and 37% of UK GDP in 2010. It's an old figure, but I think it's probably even going up as we come into the second half of the decade. So we've tried to distill out what sort of 4 key things that an IP environment needs to provide. And again, this is probably not news to the audience here, but it's nice to see it distilled down. It's got to be accessible. People have to know when and how they can protect and use their IP. The IP that they get, the rights they get, needs to be high quality, particularly in the granted rights. Customers have to be confident that when those IPs are challenged, when those IPRs are challenged, then they can stand up to that challenge. As a general society, as a general business environment, those IP rights need to be understood and respected. People need to be sure that that people know what to do with them. And they need to be fit for purpose. You know, I'm a legislator, I'm a policy maker. We can never move as fast as technology, as fast as the market, as fast as entrepreneurs. But we need to do our best to make sure that we can cope with digitisation is the obvious one, but other advances that we haven't even seen yet. Make sure that our rules and legislation doesn't stop those things moving forward. So the next sort of 5 minutes are a set of slides really just to highlight for the various areas of the points I've just made, what the UK office does to try and help businesses and users and practitioners navigate the system. So at the moment, in the last year, we've seen about a 17% increase in applications and about a 24% increase in substantive examinations of patents. How do we keep delivering those high quality rights with that growth that we're seeing? Well, we've recruited some more examiners, about 50 a year for the last 3 years, to take our total from about 300 to about 450. But that's not the only answer. We've tried to become more efficient. We've tried to improve our customer-facing filing services and overhaul internal systems to make sure that those individual examiners are more productive, to make sure our companies that we deal with have more efficient and quicker ways to deal with us. We've gone out on what we call customer journeys to map where the gaps are in their filing process, in their interaction process, and try and deal with them in a fair manner that they understand and that they can then also see the benefits. And we know from talking to our attorneys, and I know there's a few UK attorneys in the room, that the timescales we say we're going to do things in really matters to customers. People make their filing strategies based on what they think is going to happen. Moving on to copyright. It's different. It's not a granted right. It's a right that occurs in the UK as it does in most countries. But we've tried to take the point about being fit for purpose. So we've set up the world's first system to make legitimate use of orphan works. It's an application system, it's a licensing system, but it's cheap and easy to use. It's really valued by the archives and libraries. We've tried to modernise copyright exceptions to take into account of new technologies, so for text and data mining and that sort of thing. We've enabled extended collective licensing of rights, again to try and make things quicker and cheaper and more applicable. And we're currently working very closely in Europe to create a digital single market, and that's the challenge and the interest that we face in 2016 as we go forward. I apologise for sort of rattling through these quite quickly. We're trying to build respect for IP. We've tried to bring it into children's education. We've made it fun and we've made it relevant. We've got a tie-up with the Wallace and Gromit producers, with Shaun the Sheep, and he does some cartoons around invention so kids understand what it means to be an inventor and what it means to have IP. We've supported lecturers to help educate themselves and to help educate higher school students so they understand the importance of IP. Many of them know about it, many of them are going to go on to own IP, but they don't feel confident in how they might protect that. We've tried to raise awareness of IP in society. We've got tie-ins with digital media. We've got tie-ins with TV shows. So there's a programme in the UK called Dragon's Den where inventors speak to wealthy entrepreneurs and try and get money off them for their inventions. On the web page, there's a link to our office. So if you're inquiring about an invention, it also tells you how to protect that. And we've got stories how inventors have actually really been helped by that link up. And we're really firm that the government can't do everything. We need to partner with industry-led initiatives. We need to ensure messages are coherent. And on the copyright side, we've linked up with the music and copyright creative industries to create something called Creative Content UK. And then I said earlier, it's SMEs particularly that find difficulty. They haven't got teams of lawyers. They haven't got IP departments. So we've produced a whole range of toolkits. Some are physical, some are online, some include visits by IP auditors. We provide an IP finance toolkit. It allows people to see the value of their IP. Many companies in the UK do not realise they have IP in their company. They often do, and they need to know how much it's worth and how they might attract finance on the basis of it. Equally, we provide funding for 330 audits of SMEs by IP professionals to allow them to understand the points I've just made. We provide business toolkits from basic masterclasses and basic awareness right through to more dedicated support. And we provide that regionally and locally, so the whole of the UK is covered, and we tie in with our advisors for exports as well. And finally, we have a range of overseas IP attachés in the expanding markets that you heard about in the introduction to help businesses who are exporting into those countries navigate those systems and to allow them to deal with problems that they might face. And you've heard about this in the session this morning. Enforcement is also equally important. We held the world's first International IP Enforcement Summit in 2014, and we look to our friends in other countries to take that forward as a regular programme. We've worked with search engines to help deprioritise counterfeiting and pirating sites. We're working with the police to stifle the funding of IP infringing websites. It's something we call chase the money, follow the money. Take away the advertising, and the websites are often starved of their food. As the office, we're not an enforcement agency, but we coordinate the fight against IP crime. And we support the police both financially and through information to help them fight IP issues and help them understand IP issues. So that was quite a quick rattle through of a lot of the work we do. There's some key points just on the screen there. As I said, innovation is a critical building block for economic well-being, and the IP regime plays an essential role in that. Governments really can help to stimulate the work, and with well-targeted support measures in partnership with private industry. SMEs are particularly important, and the link at the bottom there is a link to a report, about a 30-page glossy report with loads of infographics about the innovation work that the IPO does. So I recommend that to anybody if they're interested in further information, or I can speak to people afterwards. So thank you very much. Apologies for quite a quick run through, but I hope that you found that very interesting. Thank you.